Is everyone able to hear my voice?
Yes, very clear, Deborah.
Beautiful. Okay, thank you. My name is Lyrita Barrett, and I will first of all like to say thank you for sharing this important aspect of our service today. Our group has been given the sacred responsibility to be the voice that speaks from the soul heart of the United States of America. Through this work, we support the evolution of the incarnation of our country with loving intention, awaken the soul of humanity to be subjectively inspired through this new method of thought form presentation. A method that we have all been practicing and perfecting every Saturday. And today, we seek to illuminate the causal factors in beauty that we know to be the United States of America. And we take our stand to lead upon the lighted way of the path of return. Today, we hope to become a shining beacon within the triangle of nations. With love and wisdom and will, we ask that you help us to do our part. The American Meditation Group has been meeting weekly now for a year, evoking soul and aligning the nation with the divine plan in service to humanity. We identify ourselves as working in the ashram of synthesis in the united wisdom of the three masters, Master R, Master M, Master DK. We invoke and evoke the archetype of Disciple America and impress the Deva of America with these energies and ideas. I'll first speak about the land and the nation itself physically. The land of the United States includes every variety of topography and ecotone of nature. Towering mountain ranges, volcanoes, alpine forests, rainforests, swamps, plains, deserts, and badlands, glaciers, island paradises, and vast expanses of wilderness. The United States is also home to congested cities, landscapes of concrete and skyscrapers, ghost towns, rust belts, slums, and every form of urban and rural blight, with several dead zones of ocean, land, and air. The legacy of unrestrained industrial and corporate sprawl and greed is also there. This is clearly a dichotomy of fourth ray opposites. It is said that America was once part of the landmass of Atlantis, and certain slivers of the West Coast are said to be remnants of ancient Lemuria. There are places all around the United States that seem to hold a legacy of deep mystery and mysticism. These carry a prayer bowl-like resonance, a cave of the heart, radiating magical energies, especially from the majestic mountain ranges and deeply silent desert regions. There is an orchestral note that rings out loudly and boldly, a beautifully fused euphony of tones. The mountains are wise, patient, tolerant, silent watchers. They have no words, only a silent, majestic note, a reverent reflection of an overarching divinity. The United States emits a strong and deep vitality. Much of the land itself remains rugged and wild. The north-south fire lines thrust down the west coast, clear down to the southern tip of Argentina. Here are earthquakes and volcanoes, both dormant and active. Powerful weather systems evoke a sense of awe. The United States seems larger than life itself, with a fullness and an abundance that affects the persona. It is a varied and often tough environment formed by continents and great oceans that have their way with every terrain and its human inhabitants. For the indigenous and those who live close to the earth, this land is a powerful teacher. Regardless of whether you are in the deep south or in Appalachia, the etheric vitality of America seems to shout, let freedom ring. America might be personified as the adolescent, optimistic, forward-seeking, who wants the new thing, often highly distracted, restless, needing to be stilled by Mother Nature. But we see congestion in dark places, an inhabited movement of energy in our cities, a displacement of the original blueprint, overlaid with corporate blight and inequality. Our Devic life has been imprinted with mankind's right and wrong use of his soul intent. And nowhere is this more evidenced than by the element of water, defended as sacred by indigenous and some modern Americans, yet polluted and commercialized by corporations. Still, the energy and vitality remains adventuresome, willing, stimulating, with a we can do it attitude.
As strange as it may seem, the United States is perhaps the only country in the world without a proper name, since America itself refers to the northern continent, which includes both Canada and Mexico. While the United States may not be a proper name, the United States declares itself in its name as unity in diversity. Similarly, the United States does not have an official language. The United States was founded in 1776 as a union of 13 colonies, now comprised of 50 states. The United States is bounded by the Pacific Ocean, including the Hawaiian Islands, the Gulf of Mexico, the Atlantic Ocean, and to the north, the Great Lakes, which contain 23% of the world's surface freshwater. The indigenous peoples refer to North America as Turtle Island. The highest land is in Alaska, while Death Valley, in the northern Mojave Desert of California, is the lowest. The oldest known tree in North America is said to be the great bristlewood pine, believed to be over 5,000 years old, located in California. The United States of America is the third most populated country after China and India, and constitutes 5% of the world's population. Yet, we painfully acknowledge consuming 25% of the Earth's natural resources. 7 major rivers of the United States of America cross or form international boundaries and are some of the longest rivers in the world, including the Mississippi, Colorado, Rio Grande, and Columbia rivers. Before colonization, the United States was populated with myriad indigenous peoples, including those nations that comprised the Iroquois Confederacy of Peoples, united under a great law of peace, enunciated and organized by the legendary disciple Hiawatha. This confederacy practiced consensus governments for 700 years of peace until European settlers arrived, visiting this land with war, conquest, slavery, and industry. Early settlers sought the New World and a new opportunity, a land free from Europe's oppressions, and they brought with them both the shadow and the light side of human aspiration. Some brought the harshly judgmental religion of Calvinism, others a strict and retributive Catholicism. In some ways, the influence of the settlers had a distinctly masculine impress upon what was previously a distinctly feminine and indigenous approach that revered the natural world of this continent. The original motto of the United States was E pluribus unum, Latin for from many, one, which refers to the welding of a single federal state from a group of individual political units. The Great Seal of the United States still says E pluribus unum. Another motto of America might be I contain multitudes. In the United States, we find representatives of every country in the world, every language, race, religion, and culture. But with dilution of cultural ways, the essence of those sustaining connections has often evaporated in the, quote, melting pot, unquote. Our astral life is often restless, striving, filled with livingness and color, musical, reaching for the new and for belonging, whether in the old or the new. Our nation is growing out of adolescence from I want, toward the ideal soul expression of I live to love, I live to cooperate. Both are strong. Will our highest ideal prevail? In the astral life of Americans, there is a great turbulence of myriads of pairs of opposites, a nation divided and polarized by ideals, by rich and poor, by us versus them, just beginning now to repolarize toward true ideas as humanity unites in our collective demand for peace and right relationship. The astral tenor of American people can be described as one of fear, wedded to comfort, innocence, aspiration, the impossible as possible, overreaching, insecurity of youth, rough, raw, aggressive, and brash. The United States has spawned many innovations in team building and conscious, intentional communities with a kind of generosity that makes it a beacon of goodwill. The shadow side is secrecy, coveting, a territorial exercise of power over others, especially with its overreaching capitalism. But Americans also exhibit a great emotional sensitivity and literacy, speaking from an open heart. From its inception, America was seen by many as a refuge from famine, lack of opportunity, and political repression. America became synonymous with freedom. An American poem at the base of the Statue of Liberty reads, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed, to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door." The American dream was touted around the world. This land of abundance would welcome humanity as a place where hard work and determination could yield a realization of one's most coveted dreams. That proved true for many who immigrated here. This was a zeitgeist that prevailed for many generations, when Americans were seen as fresh, motivational, innovative, cheerful, adventuresome, and creative. The United States is a feminine soul, with Sun at 19 degrees Cancer, with 12 degrees Sagittarius rising, and Moon in 10 degrees of Aquarius. Her soul is second ray, expressing through a sixth ray personality. Her Cancer Sun emphasizes home and family, yet often we are seeing a breakdown of the family. Astral overtones of her sixth ray personality lead to cycles of isolationism and conservatism, in some pockets bordering on fascism, such as the Ku Klux Klan and the current white nationalist movement that culminated in the insurrection that shocked the nation's capital on January 6, 2021. America embraces the militancy of her sixth ray. Her burgeoning arms industry sells weapons to the entire world. And internally, the Second Amendment to the Constitution, the right to bear arms, creates an environment where the civilian populace is perhaps the most heavily armed in the world. The sixth ray brings a heightened national idealism to our culture. When the United States is aligned with a high ideal, the nation becomes an unstoppable force for good, as we saw during World War II. Americans are often highly idealistic, forward-looking, and sacrificial. One thinks of the civil rights movement, the women's movement, the environmental movement, the Occupy movement, and the Me Too movement. In these efforts, the second ray soul shines through. The better angels of Americans make them a generous people who are capable of leading with the heart. There is a shadow side of the United States. The United States interferes in other nations' affairs with a massive global presence of military outposts and the monetizing of the very fabric of life itself by the relentless drive of multinational corporations. The budget for the military is massive, is automatically funded without democratic oversight. it is misappropriated, hidden from the public, and is separate from the national budget. The United States military-industrial complex prevents disclosure of extraterrestrial life, while corporate monopolies aggressively sequester and suppress vital new methods of energy, generation, revolutionary breakthroughs in medicine and health, and space technologies. This suppression blunts our evolution, both in the United States and around the world. While in many ways the United States can be a leader for the cause of international law and human rights around the world, many of our leaders are and have been just as guilty of atrocities as are other nations toward whom our country has pointed an accusing finger. The United States is guilty of modern crimes against humanity, perpetrated indiscriminately in many parts of the world. We acknowledge this and work to transmute it. We work with great hope and thoughtful, causative intention that America shall change its course from the Piscean expression that gave rise to authoritarianism to the inclusive Aquarian expression which nurtures integration that is aligned with the divine will to be of humanity.
The mental life of the United States. The United States is a birthplace for innovation in business, technology, arts, and science. It is also a world destination for higher education, with an abundance of colleges and universities. While pockets of fanaticism scatter and fracture this nation's mental focus, with a separative and willful ignorance and backward-leaning anti-intellectualism, the United States also has a thriving, if sometimes competitive, intelligentsia and an overarching Yankee pragmatism and a uniquely eloquent American genius. The evolving mental climate of the United States is largely forward-looking and Aquarian in nature, making her potentially a nation among nations, a leader when her better angels prevail. The soul and culture. The soul of Americans expresses a quality of the will to be of humanity as a voice of freedom, diversity, and opportunity. In many ways, the soul reaches toward a synthesis of the one humanity, drawing upon the ageless wisdom as it has been given to the nation by the elders, initiates, and their teachers. The United States is also impressed with deep underpinnings of Masonry. The capital of the United States, Washington, D.C., is laid out according to Masonic principles and design. Masonic symbols are everywhere, even imprinted on the currency of the United States. We are also a magnet for myriad esoteric and spiritual groups from coast to coast and Much of American spirituality is discovering its synergy with the wisdom embedded in indigenous practices and ritual, bringing us ever closer to fulfilling the prophecy of the eagle and the condor. That ancient Amazonian prophecy, transmitted to the Hopi and Lakota peoples of the North America, speak of when human societies split into two different paths, that of the eagle, the path of the masculine mind, and the condor, the path of the feminine heart and intuition. The prophecy says that at the turn of the 21st century, the potential will arise for the eagle and the condor to fly together and create a new synthesis of consciousness for humanity. The sole purpose of America. Lucille Cedar-Crown's book, Ashramic Projections, sounds a global keynote that is also central to the purpose of America. And I quote, "All stages of the evolutionary process through which humanity passes, from that of animal man to actual discipleship, are taking place within the body of humanity today. Today, we see all of these various stages of evolution side by side at the same time. Never before in the history of humanity has such a thing been possible or even conceivable. You may tend to become alarmed because of the many conflicting and contradictory pictures. And yet, this portends more growth and development, more opportunity for the planetary Logos himself than ever before in the history of an evolving humanity upon this planet." Unquote. From the book Ashramic Projections. According to Master R through Lucille Cedar-Crowns, there is a new magnetic center of synthesis developing high in the United States Rocky Mountains. Perhaps this is a fledgling experiment in synthesis because the United States contains representatives of all humanity. With Aquarius governing the soul of America, her spiritual life in embryo is trending towards synthesis, is wresting governance from the context of serving the privileged few to serving we, the people. Education is being deconstructed and re-examined at all levels. Social and cultural norms are being broken up, and new, more inclusive expectations are emerging. Institutional sixth-ray religion is transmuting, creating a pathway for the new world religion. Global connections are now forming in a broad interfaith movement. In the spirit of synthesis, we might say, the purpose of the United States is to bring forth the consciousness and inspiration for the new civilization and culture, a new dawning recognition of our sole purpose. as a group subjective leadership among the nations of the world. We will embody the recognition and fact of brotherhood and sisterhood, to wield the fifth ray science of energy and of consciousness that enables both a human liberation and a release of creativity within humanity. Thus, the United States can embody her esoteric keynote, I light the way.
Let us hold 3 minutes of silent space for the living entity of the USA. Okay, thank you, US group. Let us open now the floor for sharing our responses about our theme in general, holding space, and about any meditation impressions, and about the snapshot. And please state your name and the country you come from when you share.
Can you hear Mark in the United States?
Yes, Mark. Hello.
Oh, hallelujah. First of all, much, much gratitude for today. Beautiful initial sharing and discussion of the protocols that will bring us to deep communication, communion with each other. It's beautifully done, Uta, and the meditation, very, very beautiful as well. The few things that I would sort of underline, and not necessarily just add, but just underline, is this is a teaching and training for these times. And our connection is heart to heart. And I would just add diamond heart to diamond heart, which means activated higher self. So that we are really transcending our emotional bodies. And therefore we can really see with clear eyes. Next, I would say is seek first the kingdom of God, and all shall be added unto you, is really, I would say, the Hauptsache or the keynote of pretty much all religions in the world. Seek first, and first underline 3 times, maybe 4, the kingdom of God, and then all else will be added unto us, which means simply what we've been striving for today is raising our consciousness into the field of the masters. And so the desire is, let's do this now, because now is the time. What does that mean? It means really to move forward with our best foot. And thank you for what, I don't know if I dare to share it with my American friends, but the depiction of the truth of the United States, plus and minus, which is not easy to live with, really, but it's got to be said so it can be transformed. So we must, though, activate this now. And I am urged to get a project called the Golden River of Love out there. And I was asked by a mentor, do you meditate on this every day, hour by hour by hour, seeing Ukraine transformed, seeing Jerusalem and the Holy Land transformed, like hour by hour? I had to say no. So this means not once a week, twice a week, but it means daily for us now, the light workers. And let's see, the last thing I can say is, I like the motto that I set for myself, because sometimes I definitely can be judgmental of why in the blank are we doing this now, or what are you doing? And so I'm affirming for myself also on a daily basis, over and over again, is I am the light, we are the light. I am the love, we are the light. I am joy, we are joy. Success now. And thank you for the opportunity to share. Beautiful, beautiful sharing today.
Can you hear me?
Maria
Uta?
Christina. Yes.
Yes. I am Maria Cristina. I live in Brazil. I just would like to recall the fact that the new group of observers is the planetary Arjuna, as Uta has mentioned, and the crown center of the human kingdom, which means the head center of the human kingdom, is the hierarchy. At the same time, the hierarchy is the heart of the planetary system. And the new group is the planetary Arjuna, but it's the heart of the human kingdom. So, and New York is the planetary Arjuna on the physical plane. So it's very important to recall that the planetary Arjuna, or this Arjuna Center for all nations, is in United States. So at this moment, United States anchors the planetary angel, because the Ajna anchors the dweller and the planetary angel. And both, they have to be fused into one. So it's the problem mentioned about the United States belong to all nations and it's focused there. At the same time, the light or the angel is also focused there. So it's amazing thing that people are focusing the energy on the nation that is holding the new step for the whole fourth kingdom, anchoring the fifth kingdom and bring the angel. The dweller can be seen because the light of the angel is there. So it's time, after acknowledging the problem, not to look the problem anymore, but to focus on the solution, not to mention all the criticism about the nation 24 hours a day in mainstream media. It's kind of hypnosis to focus on the shadow side. When we meditators, we look up and we invoke the angel. It's just my idea for today. One more thing. America is the whole continent, and as many nation has three aspects: North America, Central America, and South America. The three is just one. It's another idea to blend the three aspects. Thank you. Thank you, Uta, for this meeting. Thank you, friends.
And thank you, Maria Cristina. Thanks for your thought.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Uh, yes, I want to say thank you very much, Uta and Star Group. I'm Denise from Russia. Want to say thank you very much for the group from America. And I hardly speak English and prepared a few words in advance. And now I just allowed it. The teaching of timeless wisdom tells us that as below, so above. And we study a nation comparing into the individual, not forgetting, of course, the difference as well. We talk about his physical body, his astral body, his mental body. We try to recognize the soul. We base our opinion for all individual on how he behaves in society, how he communicates with other people. Christ said, "By their fruits you shall know them." It is the same with nations. We cannot understand who we are dealing with unless we see how that nation behaves in the larger human family. Besides knowing the characteristics of its bodies, we also care about its goals. How does it see its future? How does it want to achieve as a personality and as a soul? We approach the study of nations in this way. What does it give us? I guess it all depends on our own goal, what we set for ourselves. Right now, our goal is to study our nations, and every nation groups are concerned with it. Maybe our next goal will be just that, to gain an understanding of where and how a nation is going and how it manifests itself in humanity. The second ray of love and wisdom manifests itself through relationships. The soul is love, so the soul is relationships. It turns out that there is no way we can get away from this topic. Next month, it will be my turn to share a snapshot of my nation, Russia, and I will try to take what I have said in mind. And I also want to thank again the group from the United States who did a very great job and told us a very interesting, balanced story about the country. It was very interesting to me. And the most interesting thing was just seeing from the United States the relationship of this nation with other nations. How ambiguous they are. Perhaps the next step could be an even greater emphasis on relationships, personal and soulful, and on the life position of the nation, the purpose of the nation. It seems to me that it is important for us today, in these challenging times, to speak honestly about this. I think that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Denise, for your work.
Thank you.
Can you send them to me?
What should I send to you?
What you just said.
Okay. Yes.
Yes.
Just now?
No. So
okay.
just for our records that we will have it.
Okay.
Yes. And, right. After we focus on understanding our nation and sharing our understanding with each other about the nature of our nation, then surely, hopefully soon, we will be able to go this next step that you propose.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you for giving us a Russian voice here.
Thank you. Thank you. It was very good meditation, very, very full. Thank you. And I want to say that all this series of webinars and the theme of nation soul is now very it is very important now, of course, and we should do our work.
Yes, together we will.
Yes, thank you.
Yes. Hello, this is Kit from the USA in Washington, D.C. I wanted to express appreciation for the beautiful words and opening meditation on transforming conflict into creative tension, and also appreciation for the presentation as well. for the American meditation group, and many of us are also working with the invocation for the soul of the USA. And I also certainly understand Maria Cristina about how, speaking about the USA and not just referring to the United States of America as America, because we have so many brothers and sisters in other nations on our northern and southern hemisphere on this continent. So I did, if it would be possible, wanted to say the invocation for the soul of the USA, but I just wanted to ask if this was a time when I could just speak that.
Kit, I would please say no, because we
Okay.
don't have so much time anymore to share. Maybe you can also send it, or you can put it in the chat.
It's long, I can't this time figure out how to in any way access the chat. Uta, if I sent it to you, since I don't have everyone's email, could I email it to you?
Can you email it to Alexander?
Yes, I'll email it to him. Not right this minute, you don't mean, but he can then send it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Kit, if you will email it to me right this minute, I will put it as a handout to the control panel so people would be able to download it right away while we're on the webinar.
Oh, shoot. Okay. Maybe the computer I'm on, I could not do that right now. I don't know if that's something that.
If not, then send it later.
Yes, I think
10 minutes.
maybe Jonathan has it and could just send it right away.
Okay.
If Jonathan's on the call, I don't know if he's still.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll try and do that. 1 minute.
Okay, so Alexander, thank you so much, Jonathan.
We have another 10 minutes, approximately, maybe a little lot more. So it would be very good to hear different people from different countries, perhaps. The US
This
group would
is Frat from
surely appreciate it.
Frat from Jerusalem. Thank you, Uta. Thank you all for this beautiful meeting. I just want to emphasize this importance of creating a space to bring the thoughts and the world and even the information. It gets a special echo, and it really brings the heart into this world, which is so important and so unique with all the noise all around. Thank you.
Thanks, Efrat.
This is Margot from Canada. Thank you to our neighbors to the south, the immediate south. The presentation evoked compassion, some sadness, even some national pride, and most importantly, a sense of hope and faith that the energies that are beginning to circulate in this triangle of Great Britain, Russia, and the United States of America will work out into the world in cooperation, in love and respect for each other, for the diversity that each country brings. Thank you.
Thank you, Margot, for your courageous sharing.
Hello, this is Jill from the UK. I thought I'd just finish the triangle off and try to. I think I've noticed when listening to all the presentations that we've had, and by the way, the American one was brilliant today. All people basically are similar and have the same hopes and dreams, and I think perhaps the main differences come from the governments of the different nations and perhaps the different physical conditions of the places. But at heart, people are good, and we just have to bring that out. Thanks.
This is Annette from Denmark. I think it was a very interesting point that America is divided in three, the North, Middle and South America. Of course, we know that, but I was wondering if we could get a ray for each part of the America, like in Scandinavia, where we have the first, second and third ray. Perhaps something similar is happening in the USA and in America as a whole. It was just a thought. Thank you.
This is Margot again. I'd also like to thank you, Denise, for bringing the Russian voice to the table. I'm trying to think of how to say thank you in Russian, but it's escaping me at the moment, so English will have to do. Thank you.
Yes, here's Grete from Denmark. I thank you for this very deep presentation of America, and it's very rich. And I'm looking at the condor and the eagle flying together. It's a very strong picture for me. And Denise, as was just mentioned, it was wonderful and very touching to hear the voice from Russia now. And I think that what we are doing here, the triangle, to present this triangle, USA, Russia, and England, can be such a powerful instrument for the further work here we are doing. And Uta, thank you for this beautiful meditation. And yeah, we have to be the silent watchers here, participating, but be the silent watchers, taking the seat in the stool of the director. Thank you. It's a very, very important meeting, this, and what we are doing here. Thank you.
Hello. This is Katja Kaufman from Jerusalem, bridging both countries, US and Russia, since I'm Russian, living for 20 years in the US of A. Well, in Russian, thank you, спасибо, благодарю. So I do thank both. And I think that it is important that groups that work, US groups that work in this field, could actually communicate and work together. It would be good if we could realize the goals that are ahead of us, what we see as the purpose of our country, and so we could see how we could be served better, what qualities are needed, what circumstances are preventing us from moving forward. So the snapshot, can go further. Thank you.
Thank you, Katja.
Reporting from Jerusalem at the moment. Thank you. Midway, somewhat.
Bridging. Yeah. A snapshot, of course, a snapshot is meant to be a snapshot, a still picture of now. And I believe that together we will develop this art of taking snapshots. Coming from our own experience and being highlighting what is relevant for this moment, not necessarily spanning the whole, giving a picture of everything, but each time afresh, to look afresh and do one snapshot after another, and then with experience we will get deeper and we get more and more into what is relevant to this present moment, and also what you said, both Denise and Katja, the purpose of the nations. We will deepen as we go with this exercise of snapshot. I would also like to highlight, is there anyone else? No. So highlight two things that have happened in this last month. Speaking of triangles, we have two developments here coming out of our work in the Nations Lab. The one is the triangle of the Middle Nations. Australia, Denmark, and Canada groups have met and are exploring the potential of what can the middle nations contribute to the world situation, to the family of nations. This perhaps another time they can share about it. But what we also have, and which is now relevant for this time, as we are in the Nations Lab doing this trilogy of snapshots of today the US, next month Russia, and in Gemini the month after that Great Britain. The US group is doing in tandem with us the work, subjective work with the Triangle of the Three Nations. So, Jonathan, would you please say a few more words about this very interesting approach that you have? And perhaps also share a link to it in the chat box for those who would like to join it.
Thank you, Jutta. Yes, it was really prompted from the last snapshot of the Ukraine that a few of us thought to facilitate a meditation which took in to contemplation the keynotes given by DK for the three nations, which I'll just mention. For Russia, I link two ways. For America, I light the way. For Britain, I serve. And we facilitated a meditation which brought these three into context and a synthesis as a one, so to say. And that really shone a light of a unified sense of wholeness. And DK also gives various hints and phrases which can support us in attuning to the purpose of these three nations. And he emphasizes that they, in particular, influence great geographic areas. And it's via this interconnected relationship that humanity is as a whole involved. So we put a compilation together from the DK material from various books, including The Destiny of the Nations, that is available in a resource which I put in the chat box. And to support this ongoing Creative Nations work, we felt to facilitate a similar meditation for the new moon period of the three festivals. So the next one will be the May new moon, and then again in June. And of course, it's open for participation. There is a dialoguing of that compilation, followed by the meditation, and then a sharing of impressions. And we have certainly found it very fruitful and opening to new recognition, new understanding of the potential of our particular soul groups from within our nations over the coming period to bring forth something quite new, something which lends itself to intergroup cooperation and development. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Alexander, do we have a few more minutes for Kit to say the invocation for America?
Yes, we do.
So please, Kit, go ahead.
Okay. May we as a nation be guided by the divine to rediscover the sacred flame of our national heritage, which so many have given their lives to safeguard. Let the wounds of separation and division be healed by opening our hearts to listen to the truth on all sides, allowing us to find a higher truth that includes us all. May we learn to honor and enjoy our diversity and differences as a people, even as we more deeply touch our fundamental unity. May we, as a people, undergo a transformation that will draw forth individuals to lead our nation, who embody courage, compassion, and a higher vision. May our leaders inspire us, and we so inspire each other, that a new spirit of forgiveness, caring, and honesty be born in our nation. May we, as a united people, move with clear, directed purpose to take our place within the community of nations to help build a better future for all humankind and all creation. May we, as a nation, rededicate ourselves to truly living as one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And may God's will be done for our nation as we, the people, align with that will.
Amen. Okay, time to wrap up. Thank you all for this very deep consideration. And let us meet next month for the Russian snapshot.